right now we are heading into game number 1, Team Snake versus NSW. Let's do our formal introductions just so we have an idea of what's going on. So welcome guys to game 1 of Rising Empires League number 1 between two players from Team Snake. We have Wham in the color blue playing as the Abbasid Dynasty, Puppy Paw spawning in the north of these jousting fields, playing as the English. Dabson, who they playing against?
Yeah, so in this southern side, we have Whitewater playing that Roost, which is a fairly pick civ on this map. And then in the western side, it is the Abbasid Dynasty. And gonna be a kind of tough one here as far as the matchups go. You would have kind of, I think, preferred to see the Abbasid mirror, as sometimes the English versus Abbasid is not the easiest one when it comes to these 1v1s.
Yeah, no, it really isn't. I think Puppy Paw and Wham are going to be relying more on their individual skill more than anything else. And we're going to see a little bit of that just in terms of the micro. Whitewater playing Roost, doing a little bit of the Deer micro minigame that I just love so fondly. And we'll be trying to get rid of Whitewater's bounty just a little bit. Now, for you on Jousting Fields, because you've played Jousting Fields more than I have, what are some of the best civs that you could really play on this map?
So it's kind of all over the place in personal preference, honestly. It is two 1v1s, but there's an abundance of deer, as you can already see, on either side. And so, you're going to see a good amount of bounty able to be secured on up. The wood lines are very thick, so Roost is usually a highly picked civ. I usually see China picked a lot. You can really kind of secure your side. There's a little bit more room and openings for, granary eco later in the game. And again, the Barbican provides so much vision and so much kind of defensive ability in this kind of more condensed area, because you're, again, splitting the map in half. And the same goes for the Kremlin as well.
Oh yeah, the Kremlin. That's a very good insight, and I know a lot of the higher elo level players, especially in the 1v1 scene, obviously preferring the Kremlin over the Golden Gate, which is shocking to me. But a little bit of development coming on into, as we're going into Feudal Age. Wham going up with the economic wing. Puppy Paw, his Team Snake counterpart, going to be going up with Council Hall at a pretty good time. The Abbasid player for NSW, Neptune, going up with the economic wing as well. What do you think about those choices?
Yeah, so kind of exactly what you would expect with a lot of these upgrades coming in. Eco Wing both sides for the Abbasid. It's their bread and butter. It's the old way of playing Abbasid, but it's still similarly strong. I would say it's a little bit slower to kick in, but at the same time, you get the decrease in all your economy buildings and houses. So it's really allows you to kind of transition easier, especially into farms later in the game. And then Kremlin being dropped as well, exactly what we would expect over there. And against the Abbasid, that does prove to be quite a problem because it does delay up their timings. I think as far as these matchups go, either side has a losing matchup. I think the Roost could potentially take down the Abbasid of Wham, even though I will say he is one of the better Abbasid players out there. And then I think Puppy on his English should have a better time against the Abbasid on his side.
Yeah, and it's looking like English on the other side too, now that you mention. Got 5 villagers on stone right now. I'm going to go over to the current resource. Puppy already got about 200 stone, so looking for that English second town center. And even in a 1v1 setting, and I'm guessing in this pseudo 1v1 setting for the English, second TC seems to be pretty meta.
Yeah, it's I think it's almost a lot of matchups in general now. You'll see English being second TC almost all the time, whether it's make 3 longbows, then second TC, 5 longbows, 9 longbows. Everyone kind of has their personal preference, but here we already noticed Puppy Paw. He's got the stone for that second TC all ready to go and can easily be able to drop that, be able to go ahead and once his feudal age finishes and once he gets enough wood, gonna have a very, very quick timing on it. And I'd assume he's gonna move it maybe a little bit more forward onto the deer.
Oh, that'd be pretty cheeky for an English player going for a food source that isn't made out of grain. would be quite interesting. Wham on the other side, his counterpart, also going for that second town center. Roos going for the second town center all the way here on the western side of their base. Everybody's just kind of sitting and chilling, trying to get their economy up and running, and we'll see in about 10 minutes for a fight.
Yeah, you know, 10, 7, 8, whatever it may be. But one thing you failed to mention, the Kremlin should be headed across the map. They should be trying to deny the second TC timing a bit. Not saying that it won't go up there, but it should cause some annoyance, cause some damage. Scout distracting them a little bit, but still could end up getting to that point where this might be just a little bit of a difference in these matchups.
Yeah, and I'm following these little Kremlin gremlins trying to get to this town center. The Abbasid town center, about 80% completed before the militia finally get their first strike, and they're going to be able to do that. A little bit of 6 damage, but Wham's micro, just that much better, going to be able to move some of those damaged villagers. Militia end up dead, but in about 20 seconds they'd be dead anyway, so who gives a damn?
Yeah, and headed right back onto the zone. So it's not only going to be a second town center, it will be a third town center as well. Some more villagers being idled out, running around though from those militia. Compared to the other side, we do have one longbow that Puppy has made, but not really going to be able to get too much damage. And Neptune thinking about a third TC himself and is a little bit further ahead comparative to Wham because he hasn't been having this pressure as much.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, you could tell the differences on the stone outcroppings for each. Neptune being about 100 stone more gathered, and if I take a look at the current resources.
Whitewater's pulling vills, headed, streamlining across the map, it looks like. I saw like 6 or 7 red dots, so it's not just Kremlin as he doesn't have that many tickets. So is it going to be a wooden fortress rush? Maybe deny this secondary food location as there is a plethora of deer in that spot.
That is a wooden fortress rush. Look at where that blueprint is. Right on that very front deer patch. Wham pulling his own 9 villagers trying to stop this wooden fortress rush. These Kremlin gremlins better start getting them spears ready.
Yeah, and he wasn't trying to stop it. He's trying to drop a TC. He wants to drop his TC right there, and he then runs into the vills that are right there for the Kremlin. He just decides to circle them around with his vills. They pull out the shivs, but this is idle time, and the wooden fortress has been finished.
Yep, and a hunting cabin gonna go down right next to it for Whitewater. This is so nice, and especially having a bounty at 290, gonna be able to get some of these deer carcasses and just deny them from Wham too. He's gonna try to build this town center over to the east to get the berries, but losing out on that deer is huge.
Yeah, and not only that, the wooden fortress, he's got the stone in the bank already, gonna get some arrow slits involved, so makes it very difficult to actually have these villagers have any use once they're popping out of that town center. Gonna have to make sure he's constantly keeping an eye over that, starting to pump some archers out to help push away those scouts, but the arrow slits wooden fortress has finished on up and provides so much vision as well. Really going to allow the team of Neptune and Whitewater to know exactly what's going on in Wham's base.
Yeah, you can see based on the vision, he sees the town center, he sees the villagers building the mill, but I think it's more about after these berries are over. I mean, this town center being a little forward, you're going to want to put like a food source, maybe like farms or something like that down, but that whole western side of the town center not going to be able to be used. His Wham's teammate Puppy, though, gonna be the first one heading off to Castle King's Palace going up.
Yeah, and that is the scary problem with this timing. Neptune on the other side, you can see he went with a 4th town center. Super greedy. He's gonna have a good amount of vills, but he's not gonna be able to click up for quite some time. And it still takes 145 until you click that button. So it looks like, in my opinion, both Abbasid players are going to be struggling as Wham, closer to finishing up his original berries. He's on those next berries with that 3rd town center that he dropped, but that's the last food source that he has. Other than the, couple more sheep he has at home. So he really is going to be either having to transition onto some berries early or onto some farms earlier on, or just be struggling for food overall.
Yeah, and I think for how many villagers he has on wood, as Puppy just hits Castle Age with that palace, I think for how many Wham has on wood, might want to have to do a farm transition a little bit earlier than he intended to. But he's also getting raided around the back. We got a horseman over here with a scout. We've got a Roos early knight, one of my favorite units in the game, just trying to rain hell on this Abbasid base. And if you do that early enough, it's difficult for the Abbasid to really get their footing.
Yeah, and this is also forcing more of a military investment for Wham, whereas Whitewater behind this, you can see he's already getting pretty close to that Castle Age timing. So Castle Ages for both non-Abbasid players looks like coming down, and there it has been clicked up as well, military school for Neptune. So even though he went 4 TCs, not too much pressure has come out for Puppy as far as that Castle Age timing. No knights, no men-at-arms streaming across the map really to absolutely, crush the soul of the Abbasid when they're trying to age up.
Now, for somebody, I have a question for you. For somebody that plays Abbasid more than I do, what do you think about this military wing choice, and why exactly did he choose it?
I think the military wing choice was more of needing to react to Puppy's timing. Like he's behind. He's just needs to get some military out, which are those 2 camel riders, and the boot camp upgrade could just give him a little bit of an extra advantage over the other side. Did not really prioritize that wall though, only sending 2 villagers. So there is still a wide open gap in the middle, and the wall does get denied.
Yeah, only half that. Well, I would say about 80% of that wall coming up. A veteran longbowman, no blacksmith upgrades, however, but veteran longbowman might be able to rain hell on some of those villagers. On the other side, the Abbasid dynasty does have a decent amount of archers and a decent amount of spearmen. Wham's going to be able to take down this wooden fortress, Dabs.
Yeah, this was that feudal age investment I was talking about that was needed because of this wooden fortress. He knows he is chokeholded on the food. So if he goes up to castle, he's, not really going to be able to utilize that castle without the food, and going ahead and securing this location with the town center. Bruce, he went up to Castle Age. That's why he doesn't have this mass. That's why he doesn't have that ability on the other side to, deny this mass. And Wham taking advantage of that. But the same thing that just happened for his partner is about to happen for him, which is he needs to now be able to match that Castle Age timing, or else all the relics can be secured on his side, as well as these men-at-arms going to be streaming across the map. Very hard to deal with.
Yeah, and I think once they start getting their upgrades, Puppy Paw yet to get them yet, but once it starts getting them Iron Chad upgrades and all of that, the town center fire of all those Abbasid town centers, basically shooting marshmallows at that point. Probably not going to do too much. Now, Wham, even though he is still in feudal age, has a very decent army. 16 spearmen, 18 archers, and he's looking to take it to the roost before they start to get a little bit of map control, get a little bit of those relics from the Abbey of the Trinity. I love this idea.
Yeah, and you can see how Roos was pushed up on some of those deer, pushed up on some of those food sources, and now will need to fall back onto the berries, onto some of the other food, and wait till he has a big enough mass of these men-at-arms to take a fight. Has grabbed that first relic close to his base because he wanted to go out for the further ones, wasn't able to do it though.
Yeah, and these troops from Wham just streaming in. It's a little bit more of quantity over quality because Whitewater having those Castle Age units, those men-at-arms. But if you got enough, maybe it'll do it. And I think only one relic might be able to get collected from the roost for the Abbey of the Trinity. But I'll tell you what, a sad Abbey of the Trinity is when you got no Trinity in that Abbey.
Yeah, that is true. I thought no. Okay, he grabbed that one relic, so he should be able. I think he'll be able to push up and at least get a second one, potentially a third. But you can see the third he would want to get going behind Wham's walls. On the other side, Neptune has been able to stabilize, has a good amount of crossbows himself and that frontline mass, so he's kind of just immediately turning this back upside down, trying to push Puppy Paw right back and out of that forward kind of base that he's been trying to build.
And it looks like he's going to be able to do that. I think we shouldn't discount the amount of health that these camel riders have. You got to think about these men-at-arms. Yeah, they have a lot of armor to them, but as far as a DPS unit, they're not quite there. And the camel riders just adding a little bit of that front line, just so the back end of this Abbasid crossbowman and archer fleet is going to be able to take them down.
Yeah, archers needing to try to move up to take down the crossbows, and the outpost, though, providing that network of castles bonus and just giving English that little bit of a leg up on the opponent. Crossbows, though, are still going to be the difference if Neptune can get enough of a number here.
You can see how much the network of castles actually like helped this battle, even though this is technically a Puppy Paw lost battle. I think if he didn't fight that under the outpost, it would be more gargantuan of a loss. And Abbasid units are starting to stream in a little bit into that English area, but deciding to back up until they mass up, and gonna get a couple rams going at the same time. Now on the south side, we got a lot of Rus men-at-arms and a couple of knights going to be trying to take down these walls of Wham. So on the flip side, it looks like Wham and Puppy Paw, both of them, devoid of that map control that they got in the beginning.
Yeah, and you can just see how close of a game this is. Eco's so close, military's so close, but Puppy and Wham just slightly having the advantage. Fight being taken here now, men-at-arms clashing, but there's a good amount of units here just in general. Not a ton of high damage units on either side, and trades just being delayed as Wham wants to get his upgrades, wants to get a few crossbows out to actually be able to win this fight.
Yeah, I think it's going to take a time. There's, a pretty bad villager pathing instance. A couple villagers end up going down from Wham because of that. And this fight, it's kind of like watching Molasses a little bit, just because there's no DPS going on both sides. But a lot of the spearmen coming down from Wham, that archer mass in the back remaining healthy for Wham. And surprisingly enough, quantity looks like it's doing pretty well over quantity. He's not really giving up any kind of mass, and now Knights coming up on the front, Lancers, excuse me, actually for Wham is going to provide that front line he so desperately needs.
Yeah, the good thing is he actually split off about 10 or so men-at-arms over on the berries to the west of that town center, picked up another 8 to 10 villagers over there, and really hurting Wham as far as eco goes. On the other side, Neptune going for an all-in. He's dropped 4 rams. He's got a good amount of archers, but he's fighting into longbows with network of castles, and thinking he has a number, he's still pushing up. Other 2 rams hasn't finished, but he wants to keep pushing Puppy Paw back with this mass and keep taking down as much as he possibly can, make it uncomfortable for the English.
Yeah, I think for everybody who is a sub in the Rising Empires channel, you better spam your ram emotes, because we got 4 here, we got another 2 getting constructed right now. What's really nice for Puppy Paw, doesn't have the network of Citadel's upgrade, but if he keeps backing up, he's going to have a keep that's going to help him out against this range mass.
Yeah, unfortunate for him, though, he's getting a lot of buildings taken down. TC being taken down as well with this. Less of a need, but he's playing against the 4 TC Abbasid, and this is no joke of an eco that he is going up against. Can't take this lightly, but on the other side, you could be saying the same for Wham. He is 4 TC Abbasid, playing against those couple TCs of the Rus, starting to push back up, starting to take this map control, and it is just stuff going all over the place. But Mangonel pops out of the English town or keep and is able to just take that perfect.
That's huge. That was about 10 to 12 crossbowmen. That little bit of a micro mistake gonna cost him. Puppy Paw with a couple of bills over here trying to get that Mangonel repaired, but it does end up turning to kindling. And look at the flip of map control we see on both sides of these jousting fields. Wham with all of his ranged mass and melee units alike, trying to take it to the Rus after a lot of those men-at-arms end up going down. A lot of the militia, he's got to pull the oh shit button with the Kremlin, getting all these minions out here trying to do something. They're going to end up not doing anything. On the other side, we got about 6 rams over here. One of them finally goes down for Neptune, and he's trying to take down that keep, but he's going to end up backing up and reinforcing. Now if you're Whitewater, I don't see a siege workshop over here that's really going to stop this ranged mass, and Wham's able to build his own. Whitewater might be in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, definitely in a bit of trouble, but Puppy Paw, yes, he held that push, but look at how many Vills are idle. Look at how many Vills are trying to drop farms. He got idled out of a bunch of these farms, and looks like Neptune's pushing back up for those other vulnerable ones, and not an easy situation that Puppy's finding himself in on the other side. So it really is just this split battle, and we haven't yet seen the chop through, but each of these teammates are starting to get close. As you see Wham and Puppy, they're starting to chop at the same spot, and Whitewater moving over to that western side to help start chopping through to his opponent, or teammate, sorry.
Oh, look at this from Whitewater. Sorry, I hate to cut you off, but on the south side, about 27 villagers for the Roos moving from south to north, and they will be idling near the keep, but they're going to be doing something. But a lot went down in the process of doing that. Now on the other side, Neptune trying to get this keep under wraps. A lot of villagers pulling out their torches. They're getting a little fired up. Pun very much intended, trying to take down some of these rams, and one will end up going down. Man, I love a Jousting Fields game. There is so much shit happening everywhere.
Just both sides, just absolute crazy battles. But the craziest thing through all this is look at the economy numbers. They're just still so close to even. Military numbers still so close to even. Who's going to hold? Who's going to come out on top here?
That's a good question. I wish I could answer it for you, but with both of these sides kind of making, it looks like this south side between the Roos and the Abyss, a little bit of a stalemate. Those fortified palisades helping him gain a little bit of his strength, and this Roos keep in the middle where this front sacred site is being a thorn in the side for Wham, making some counterweight trebuchets, trying to fix that up. The one thing for Abyss, now that we're talking about keeps, and if I'm Neptune, you gotta think about dropping a keep up here, no?
Yeah, I mean, this is what really would allow you to like kind of put that line in the sand positioning. Puppy, he's on all these farms. He's on the wood line. The wood line is about to be chopped through for both players, so they're about to be able to start helping each other out, and that is really when this game is going to turn upside down. You can already see the stone walls coming out for Wham. What's his plan most likely going to be? Stone walls makes me think he's about to just swap on over to Puppy Paw's side, help Puppy Paw, and go full-fledged over there and allow these stone walls, allow the keep, allow the kind of siege to just defend itself up on that side.
Yeah, I think you're right on that. Going to be able to help him out. That wood line finally getting the cut through. Now Wham also is going to be one of the first ones to click up to Imperial Age, going up with the trade wing. Neptune on the other side, his counter Abbasid, doing the same thing.
Both going up with the trade wing right as the chop through happens. You can't think that is a coincidence, but the key thing here is the stone walls, I think, are really going to be the difference. Wham has already fully built his, secured his up. Yes, he doesn't have them fully connected, but he has a keep in between them, has a lot of that map control, map positioning, and there's that other push through yet again from Neptune, trying to dive under his keep, and there is the keep of his own, but look at what colored units are starting to stream in. It's Wham, and it is a ton of cavalry to perfectly counteract the army on the opposite side. Men-at-Arms going to start being able to dive forward. Longbow's going to be able to shred everything in their path. Yes, the keep did go up, but this is right where a huge fight is going to be lost, and it is lost pretty heavily. Wham even sending resources over to Puppy to help him out.
Yeah, you love seeing a little bit of slinging, and I don't even know if they actually asked for gold. I mean, if you share half your genetic code, you probably know what your twin brother actually wants. So 1,100 gold going in that direction. And look at just those little bit of lancers and those little bit of horsemen. How much of an impact that made for Puppy Paw just to get a little bit of stability. And now that he is able to do that, we might see this keep go down somewhat eventually. Now, Roos on the other side against Wham, just because of these stone walls, like you said, really not doing much for him. So Wham has the ability to come over here and to stream across, and that's one of the things when it comes to Jousting Fields that's such an issue. If you're sending your units to your other side to help your teammates, you yourself becomes so undefended, but these stone walls coming in super clutch for Wham.
Yeah, and you can see he's just sitting there with a crossbow mass and a trebuchet, just slowly sieging down the keep, waiting for this fight to happen, but he's just playing it slow because he doesn't need the fight to happen if they are winning on the other side. So the question is Whitewater going to be able to push through this? Is he going to go try to help his teammate, or is Neptune just going to be able to 2v1 over here?
And he's actually holding his own with the 2v1. He's doing a good job, but one of the things that might be a little difficult for him to do that now in the future, Puppy Paw going to be going up to Imperial Age himself with the Berkshire Palace.
Yeah, right behind that keep that he has. So has been able to have that keep stay alive, stay secure, and now with the Berkshire just allows his farms to be so much better protected. And not only the farms, hopefully he'll end up protecting up his whole side. And look at Neptune sneaking around with 18 or so villagers. Might be another keep drop, and he is pushing through the chop through wood line and absolutely slaughtering some vills and pushing these villagers back, military units back. Wham's trying to stream units in to help this up. He's also sending villagers, though. Might not have realized that the reinforcements with Puppy were right behind that. That's like 25 villagers that are just going to get slaughtered for nothing.
Oh my god, that's target practice for these longbowmen. So many going down. Wham actually using villagers of him for himself with textiles, so that does help, but a lot of elite horsemen going to be around the elite crossbowmen and the veteran archers of Neptune. His army is going to get wiped. This was the classic rendition of an overextension, don't you think?
Yeah, not only that, he tried to drop another keep on the other side with another 15 or so vill. We can see how much that Neptune just lost there as far as his economy goes. His partner, yeah, Whitewater, he's being fine over there. He's been able to re-boom back up. He's sitting, you know, real happy as far as his eco goes. Might be dropping Imperial Age himself, but now his teammate is in a struggling situation after everything he just lost.
Yeah, he is definitely struggling, and I think if Wham and Puppy Paw notice what is going on between that, trying to take down that keep, and Puppy Paw has a trebuchet that is going to help him take down that keep, but you got to think, you got to push that initiative. You lost so many units. Neptune lost so many units. You want to try to get up there, and especially his Rus counterpart just going up to Imperial Age now. Spasskaya Tower about 40% completed.
Wham decides to not let this mistake happen again. He walls off Puppy Paw. Stone walls coming in. Yes, he'll end up dropping. Oh, but the horsemen are able to break through, but doesn't really matter at this time with Puppy Paw's army that is there. Whitewater finishes his Imperial Age, but it just feels like he is about to have the whole world knocking at his doorstep with Wham.
Oh yeah, as soon as that Spasskaya comes up, that's like a marker. Wham knows to push this initiative, and he finally is going to do that. Elite horsemen with a decent amount of upgrades, some crossbowmen, some elite spearmen, going up against mostly knights and veteran archers for Whitewater. Those upgrades not going to be able to come in yet. Good mangonel shots past these fortified palisade walls, but Wham's got the heavy hitters in terms of siege and anti-siege with culverins.
Yeah, that double mangonel shot might just make him rethink this push for a bit, as all of his crossbows now are under half health. He probably just lost half of them as well, but look at the culverins able to double snipe the mangonels. Now he's feeling much better about it. Springfield's not going to be able to step up into that range because the culverins one-shot him.
Yeah, if I know Wham's micro like I do know it, those Springfields are going to pop like water balloons. Two of them end up going down, and it looks like a lot of this crossbow mass in the back by Wham, although it's pretty damaged, will be able to have free reign on a lot of these knights. And for how tanky some of these elite spearmen and some of these elite horsemen are going up against Castle Age units, they hold their own, and Wham can now continue pushing into that Rus base.
Yeah, and it's pretty crazy through all this. Wham's also streaming units over to Puppy Paw's side, helping him hold Neptune's push still as well. Puppy has been struggling here, even with the Berkshire. He tried to drop some wooden walls, but the Horseman crossbow mass, it's streaming on the other side. Both Abbasid players making the same choices, but Wham's forward army does get taken down by the Rus. Perfect timing push, and all of the siege will go down with it.
Oh man, that's expensive firewood, isn't it? That's about 4,000 worth of resources that those bombards and culverins are made out of. But based on the Abbasid economy and Imperial, like I know the economy to be, plus with Wham having the trade wing and traders going to a puppy paw market all the way in the north corner, he'll be able to reproduce those pretty quickly.
Yeah, the crazy thing right now is the economies. Neptune and Whitewater have a more favorable economy, but that doesn't always give you the advantage. You really need to have these military fights and allow yourself to have the advantage that way, have that ball work together. So is the economy more efficient? Are the militaries going to kind of work together in unison and take efficient trades as well?
Yeah, we'll see if Neptune has been able to do that. I mean, we saw one of his fights where the overextended and actually using a decent amount of his horseman mass, essentially most of his army, over here trying to get raids on these enclosure-ridden English Imperial farms. And it looks like he might have got a couple worker kills, but at the cost of maybe about 20 horsemen to do so. This is one of those, just like you said, in terms of cost efficiency, probably not that great.
Yeah, but look at the mid-map control that I just now realized was taken by Puppy Paw on his side. He's dropped a keep in the middle. He has a bunch of barracks. You know what men-at-arms in English love to do there at the Imperial Age? It's just stream men-at-arms into the base. And if you look at the farms, if you look at the wood line, there's little bits of yellow all over the place.
Yeah, there is. That's a very good point. I'm seeing about, if I'm hovering over correctly, I'm seeing about maybe 7 or 8 barracks with these men-at-arms coming all over the place. With that 8 ranged armor that they have, they do such a good job tanking hits from this keep. It takes a keep so long to get rid of some of these men-at-arms, and you got to pull your own crossbowman mass to actually do some damage. Just like you said, more stables coming over here on the east side of this jousting field as well. He's looking to send anything and everything over to this Abbasid base to raid.
Yeah, both economies starting to struggle, but the key is the militaries for Puppy and Wham are not struggling. They're at 175 to 80. They still have some men-at-arms in the back line, in those farms, in that wood line. They've been there for a while, just non-stop attacking and still streaming units to that goal that you were showing earlier. Yeah, there's some military clashing on the other side, but the key is going to be the healthiness of the numbers.
Yeah, and talking about healthiness of numbers and numbers that are shrinking, let's take a look at this Roos fight, all the way in the south. Wham taking it to him, Streltsy in the back, trying to add a little bit of double time. One of the best sounding guns in the game, just my personal opinion. And a lot of these spearmen are going to end up being target practice for these Streltsy elite camel archers in the back, trying to provide a little bit of relief, and will do good against those Streltsy. So Streltsy got to end up backing up and kiting, doing a little bit of that anti-double time that we see a lot of these Roos players end up doing. So we're reaching a little bit of a stalemate until reinforcements come in. And Puppy Paw continuing to gain map control over here on the north side. Oh my god, everything is happening at once, Dabs.
It is literally everything. You're talking about 2 main fights happening and raids going on all over the place, but the key is where these fights are happening. They're on Neptune, they are on Whitewater side. Who's getting raided now? It is Neptune, it is Whitewater. The game is starting to turn back around. Neptune was on the front foot the whole game. He was the aggressor the whole time, but Wham finally helped Puppy hold here, and this is finally the time that it's starting to get more and more worrisome for the southern side.
Yeah, and I think it's a little bit not so much about if you can get to the enemy base. I mean, the map control is good, but got to think about these sacred sites and making sure your map control is over the idea of both of those sacred sites. We saw Neptune and Whitewater have both of them as the game was encapsulated. Now, map control is kind of flipped, where Whitewater finally starting to take a fight on the southern sacred site. The only thing Wham essentially has right now is elite camel archers that got to kite all the way back. Culverin becoming another expensive piece of firewood. So Whitewater starting to show some promise in some of these attacks.
Yes, he is. He's starting to kind of push that back, but Puppy Paw finally dropping the stone walls himself. And so this is what will allow both of their sides to just nonstop throw their military away for eco and take good trades.
Yeah, and I think they're going to be able to do that pretty well. Now I see in the back the Roos player finally starting to get some of his trade going Also on the background in Wham's trade, obviously doing that, I want to take a look really quick at some of the stockpiles of both of their resources, because as we go into that Imperial post-Imperial play, the amount of resources that people have are huge. The one player that looks like doesn't have much in the way of stockpile is Wham right now.
Yeah, the thing is stockpile, yes, that's one thing, but also what the upgrades that he's already had and the upgrades in queue as well. And he has so much in queue with all these other imp age upgrades coming in with chemistry, incendiary arrows. He's finally getting the military academy, but the ecos are going to be untouched, and that is what is nice here. Neptune, Whitewater, they're starting to build that military number back up, though. It used to be double, maybe triple by Team Snake, and it's starting to look a little bit more even, looking like they could potentially hold this, turn this right back around.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Military count right now, 138 to 98, and it's changing as soon as I can finish the sentence, so I'm not even going to tell you how much it is anymore because of how much has changed. But talking about map control once again, Sacred Site timer, 8 minutes and 50 seconds for Puppy Paw and Wham to win this game. So now it's for both of these players, all you got to do, just hold.
Yeah, and it doesn't look like Puppy Paw's plan is just hold, as he is continuing to push up. He's taken down another keep on the western side. He's got that longbow mass that it's just non-stop firing, and I feel like it has been non-stop firing. Those incendiary arrows, just men-at-arms flood should be that tanky front line, and production's about to start getting taken down, not even to mention the economies behind it.
Yeah, that was actually a massive fight, and I'm glad you directed the stream to their attention, because how quickly those elite longbowmen just ripped apart the mass of those crossbowmen. If you don't have enough crossbowmen for this elite men-at-arms, they will continue to rain their form of English hell all over your base, and it looks like they're starting to do that. They match up so well against the elite horsemen of Neptune. They're going down so quickly. You can hear the neighs. Somebody call PETA. There's so many horse corpses on the ground.
Yeah, I feel like all we've been hearing now for quite a while is just agony, pain, screaming, yelling, whatever it may be. Longbow's even decided to take out some rams during this, but the key, again and again, it's all the aggression now towards Neptune and Whitewater. Wham and Puppy are the ones pushing forward. Wham and Puppy are the ones on the aggressive side.
Yeah, and it goes to show how important, especially if you're a lower elo player watching this game, how important it is to establish keeps when you end up getting that little bit of map control. Or what Puppy Paw is doing, he's adding outposts in the back. If you're an English player, you got to get that network of citadels going for you to take a good fight. And now, for Whitewater, trying to get some of that map control back, he uses Horsemen to try to get a flank maneuver on some of these mangonels, and will get a couple. That keep over here is helping him out to get this map control. Bombard towers for some of these players, also just helping them make sure that his sacred sites stay under control, and at least for the next 6.5 minutes, and if they do, the game ends.
Yep, and it should just be another keep, another outpost on that bottom side for Wham. And Wham, I think, is at the point now where he's like, all right, I'll hold my side, you can push yours. I've done my job. I've gotten you back to your Imperial Age English that we all know is so, so powerful. And this is where Puppy is the one taking back over the game, pushing into the ecos, pushing into the production, and not allowing Neptune to hold.
And you know, I always say this when you're going for a Sacred Sites victory, either 1v1 teams or otherwise, the best defense is a good offense. If you have all of your units, all of your men-at-arms, all of your longbowmen, if you're Puppy Paw, in front of Neptune's base, how in the hell is he actually going to decap this Sacred Site? And same thing for Wham right now, pushing into Whitewater's base. They're never going to end up getting near it. Look at all these villager stabs.
This is like the third time I've seen him just throw away over 20 vills, and I mean, that could have been one of the main detriments, and every single one of those vills gets taken down except two single vills through their torches, I think.
The shriek heard around the world is an absent female villager losing its life, and we heard that quite a few times. Hopefully it's in your nightmares tonight. But yeah, with all those end up going down, more elite horsemen. Now for Neptune, what do you think about something like an army composition change? It seems like he's beating his head against the wall here.
Yeah, I don't know what army composition you can choose right now. That's the problem. Like, anything you choose is going to get taken down right now by Puppy Paul's mass. He's, just so you said earlier, he's dropping the towers behind this to get his network of castles bonus extended, also vision extended, as they are getting closer and closer to the actual heart of the eco.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a longbowman mass. Puppy Paw does a 49 longbowman. Just sitting here chilling near one of the secondary town centers. Hasn't been allowed to move Neptune in terms of his eco. Even if he wanted to make new villagers, he wouldn't be able to. Wham on the other side, we took a lot of time good looking into Puppy Paw, but Wham has a hand cannoneer mass of his own right in the middle of that roost production. Not going to be able to let them get a bigger mass of either archers, streltsy, whatever they're attempting to do. Military count right now, 165 to 56.
Yeah, and this is one where just how Puppy's dropping more outposts behind this. Wham, he's one-upping them. He's dropping keep after keep after keep, just moving forward there. So even if he lost a big fight, doesn't have enough units to hold this, and Whitewater gets a big army, well, he's got to take down 4 keeps before he gets to the sacred site.
Yeah, and I think what I also want to point out for these guys too is how they're not overextending. They're all staying near their keeps. They're all staying near their outposts, because it's not about getting to the other side of the end of the jousting field. It's just making sure your opponent isn't getting towards the middle. And they're doing such a good job of that, adding these defensive, I will call them offensive structures at this point. And with a couple minutes later, as we're seeing Puppy Paw continue with that longbowman mass, that longbowman mass still hasn't moved.
Yeah, I think we got to the point where Neptune and Whitewater overboomed. They don't have enough population space to get the military they need. I just looked, Whitewater's at 154 economy. That's only 46 units you can push out. 46 units is not going to be enough to take down anything, especially when we're talking about Puppy Paw having 53 longbows in general, not including the men-at-arms in the other front line. So that's really where I find the problem for them now. They have a lovely economy, they just don't have the military, and the surrenders are finally coming through.
Ooh, man. That was something else, wasn't it? That was a fantastic game coming out from both players in jousting fields. I'm so glad I told you guys to buckle up, because I felt like I was getting pulled in a million directions.